Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about the new COP system they added to Gray Zone Warfare and why they feel like they are doing more harm than good. In some amazing ways, they could become something that truly complements the game instead of a cure that just so happens to be worse than the disease as it stands right now. As of the making of this video, COPs act as spawn points after you die, being able to reincarnate, access your full stash, buy anything you want with full access from traders, and jump right back into the fight from the closest location solves the issue of travel time in the game, but ultimately makes the gameplay loop feel hollow and meaningless. Dying has no real weight to the game, and the COPs making it so you can spawn and run directly back to your body at a maximum of 1 minute after death with another fully juiced loadout makes the PvP feel incredibly cheap and will rear its ugly head even more as players get into the endgame. But I believe I have a solution to this issue, with suggestions of my own, but many of them from you guys in the community. I have been asking for community feedback ever since I started doing these videos on this game, and you all have delivered, and honestly makes me so grateful that we have smart gamers who care and a receptive dev team that considers it. They have been watching all of these videos and read all of your comments, so let them rip, because your ideas don't just matter, but they're important. Gray Zone Warfare is attempting something of a moon landing with this fresh take on an extraction shooter, and it's up to us to set a good precedent that won't fizzle out like almost every other game that attempts to innovate in this genre does. I also want to thank all of you for watching these videos and giving me so much support. I really appreciate it, and if you want to support me even more, hit the subscribe button. It's totally free and it helps me out massively being the small channel that I am. Plus, I'll be doing more videos like this into the future. So we covered why the current system with the COPs is a problem. So how do we fix this? Many of the suggestions here will be surface level things that can be done without affecting the core of the game, and others will depend on deeper systems that have not yet come to Gray Zone, but either will or certainly should. I think that the idea of COPs is good overall. Adding a mechanic to the game that helps remedy some of the core issues like travel time is a good move from the developers. Sometimes you see things not work in a game and the devs just take them away instead of adding systems that fill the gameplay with more meaningful things to do that solve the inherent problem. I know these are two different things, but an example of this is like in Tarkov when hatchlings was becoming a problem. Instead of adding some ridiculous band-aid solution to pigeonhole people from the playstyle like a minimum gear requirement, the developers painstakingly added the band-aid solution of having a mechanic to keep the playstyle viable without making it use far too much to exploit the game. That's called a clever game design. They did this with the found and raid mechanic and the tagged and cursed mechanic that would make it so if you were to bring only a pistol or nothing at all, the AI would target you and make it far more challenging to just run around and vacuum all the loot for yourself. And the found and raid mechanic making the loot less valuable overall. But that was all dependent on an even larger system that they added to Tarkov, the flea market. So you can see how deep into the weeds some of these systems can become and how much you have to put on your innovator hat to balance these things out carefully. Similar with these COPs, if you die, I see too many people either run out of them immediately without any gear at all to rush their bodies where they might be able to get their things and kill you with them, or be able to gear up far too quickly and meet you where you have already made yourself at a disadvantage by giving away your position, by killing them in the first place. If you kill a player, that should not inherently put you at a disadvantage to that same player just because you want to collect your well-deserved reward. In Tarkov, dying doesn't give you any upper hand when you get killed. It actually makes you feel dead by being out of the instance. The fact that Gray Zone is a persistent open world means developers need to think of many problem-solving mechanics that don't feel like they're just restricting the way people like to play. In some way they need to do that, but you can gamify it so the whole ordeal doesn't just feel like a mess. And I know a lot of you are going to say that you get plenty of gear off of dead players and that you can always get out in time with their stuff, and that kind of means you've won the fight. But I promise you, this way of how death works will get old really fast and will throw players new and experienced away from this game, partly because it's a little bit annoying, but mostly because it's immersion breaking and not good game design. And I know many of you here are orphans coming from the Tarkov community, and a lot of you really want to hate that game, but let's be honest, that's all of your favorite game's favorite game, including Gray Zone Warfare. And I do realize there's a lot of things about Tarkov that aren't so savory. So let's take the best things from that game, which is plenty of actually clever game design, and leave the bad, because we want Gray Zone Warfare to be better. So don't hate me for suggesting that Tarkov does some things well, and don't hate Tarkov because it does do those things incredibly well. Your daddy issues aren't all that bad. That trauma gave you character, it gave you skills, it most importantly gave you knowledge. And one of these things that abusive daddy Tarkov taught us was plenty of clever game design. So how do we fix these issues about the COPs with some of our own clever game design? Well, I think for starters, we should not be able to loot our bodies after we die. This should not go without an insurance system, of course, and would help the game go into a direction I think would be the most important for its health. money. Being a private military operator in the gray zone means that everything you do in the game should involve spending or making money. This is something many people don't realize Tarkov actually took from RuneScape. You know that funny little flash game that came out in 2001? Yeah, it still averages over 500,000 players per day. Not even Tarkov can hit those numbers. But I digress. Not being able to loot your body after you die would give players more of an illusion that what happened to them isn't something their immediate clone operator is aware of and can just run back to. They will, because this PvP loop isn't perfect, but at least they don't have a fleshy carbon copy armory to sneak back to that is close to the fight as soon as you pop one in the head and take your time healing or dealing with a teammate who might be covering the body. Which leads me to think we need some sort of cooldown timer at the COPs when you die. Not a long one, but 30 seconds would give just enough of a penalty to the player who has been bested and just enough breathing room for the player that came out on top to be able to handle whatever situation he was in and get out with something worthwhile. I also think these COPs should be nerfed and offer some level of progression throughout the world. They should all have separate and limited stashes with their own traders that sell scav-like equipment. Maybe you can level up these separate COP traders with unique missions. Not to be as powerful as the base camp traders, but something that would get you back into the game without being at a complete disadvantage if you were to upgrade them. The stashes should be separate, like I said before, and offer more space that you can buy to keep anything you want in them. Again, being separate from your base camp locker. I also think that some of these COPs, not all of them, but the main ones should have LZs, or even better, a main COP you own with a cluster of 2 more connecting ones should have the option of actually buying an LZ pad, not only for being able to land and extract from, but with a function I think all LZs should have, the ability to access your base camp locker and get the equipment you want brought to you by a little bird at a fee, of course. Oh, and I think we should give players the ability to spawn at any COP owned by their faction when they load into a server or when they die. I mentioned this in my last video, so I apologize if you've heard this suggestion before, but a really great feature to these COPs would be some kind of reward or incentive to hold them and an equal or greater reward to capture them back, and also ways to upgrade them with money, say with marked landmine locations to limit flank options, the ability to upgrade the AI types to more formidable ones, or my favorite option is just to be able to hire more. Pretty immersive, being that everybody there is just a private military contractor looking for the next paycheck. And that's it. I truly believe this way of making the COPs function throughout the world adds layer after layer to the gameplay, making them feel like their own little campaign within the overarching goal of the entire game. Let me know what you guys think, and if there should be something else they should have. I really appreciate you guys sitting through another long rant, but this game has a lot to offer and honestly needs a lot of solutions to deal with being this extraction shooter Tarkov type game in an open world. There are a lot of systems we need to come up with that help remedy a lot of the issues that come with that. Have yourselves a very nice day.